All right, we have got to talk about what is happening to Instagram's luxury community. Welcome to the Sunshine Fashion Love channel. I am Jen, and I've had an Instagram account where I post handbags and other mostly luxury items for about 10 months. Also, I did recently rebrand this channel. Used to be called Jen Talks Forever, now it's Sunshine Fashion Love. And just for fun, I decided to start an Instagram account in April of 2023 where I just mostly post fun handbags, accessories, stuff like that. Photography is a hobby of mine, and I just like taking pictures of bags and sharing them. There is a very vibrant and fun handbag community. I've met a lot of great people. I've talked to many of you out there, and I really wanted to share some observations and some theories I have about what's really going on with Instagram in regards to luxury brand posts. Now, for a little bit of backstory, if you don't know me, I am Jen. I'm a former news producer, and I've been a full-time content creator, mostly on YouTube for the past 6 to 7 years. My main channel and my main social accounts are actually not these. I have another channel that has about 113,000 subscribers, and I have another Instagram account that has about 11,000 followers, just in a completely different niche. So I post here kind of for fun as like a secondary thing, and I just thought it would be fun to have an Instagram account just to share my enthusiasm and love for mostly handbags, because it's something I've been into since I was a little kid. Now, I used to be a media member. I'm a former news producer, and I dealt a lot with copyright and trademark issues at work in a previous job on a daily basis. So I would say I have an above average knowledge of copyright laws and the application fair use. And for what I'm doing now, I also have had to look into trademark laws quite a bit. I sell on Etsy, and I'm also involved in that community, and trademark laws are a very big thing there. For instance, a lot of shops don't realize that you can get shut down if you're selling like Disney items, that sort of thing. So trademark and copyright are very different things. And I believe what's happening with Instagram now, with a lot of us just getting our posts removed, especially like the Louis Vuitton stuff, I believe it has to do mostly with trademark protection. So I'm going to go into what I think is happening. I'm going to explain what's been going on with my own account and what I'm going to be doing moving forward to try to protect myself so I don't lose the Sunshine Fashion Love account. Okay, so I've had the account for about 10 months, and I was mostly posting a lot of like flat lay photos or just straight up bag pictures. So I'll show you a few examples on screen now. It was fun. And I think for a lot of us, we post pictures of our handbags because, some of us don't want to be on camera. So there are some accounts that are more like lifestyle-y, and it's like a lot of selfies and whatnot. And what I liked about having this account was that I'm not looking camera ready like most of the time, if I'm being honest. I'm wearing sweatpants right now. I don't really leave the house a lot because I'm self-employed. I work from home, and there's really no need for me to get all dressed up and put on a cute outfit on a daily basis, so I normally don't. But being able to post pictures of my bags and some of my SLGs and stuff was cool because, I didn't have to be on camera. I just like photography, and I could just take pictures of some stuff. I enjoy styling the photos. I think that's been fun. And it's been a way for me to stretch creatively and try to dip my hand into things like flat lay photography or product photography. And I just find it fun. So I like being able to just kind of come up with different photo ideas, different video ideas, and share them on the Sunshine Fashion Love account. So for about 10 months, I didn't have any issues with Instagram. I've heard lots of other people who have. In fact, I know a reseller friend of mine, she had her primary account just outright suspended or banned. She has not been able to get it back. So what a lot of people have been doing is they're having their primary account and then they're creating a backup account. Not if, but when Instagram decides to shut them down. So I didn't have any problems for a long time, but I've seen a lot of other folks, particularly like the reselling businesses, or like the folks like Foxy LV who posts a lot of Louis Vuitton updates. I know she's had some issues with her Instagram account. And a lot of kind of LV-centric accounts seem to be having problems. And I went for quite a while without having any issues until last week. So I normally obviously use Instagram on my phone, and one day I woke up and I could not, like when I would go to the screen, it would just say like, feed can't refresh. So like I could still sort of look at things, but I couldn't do a lot in the account. And I was like, what's going on? Like it wouldn't show me my own feed at all. So finally I decided to log into Instagram on my computer, which I don't normally do for this account. And then as soon as I did, a screen popped up and said, we removed your content. and it was one of my Louis Vuitton product photos. So it said, you know, we've removed your content. It was like, okay. And I was like, what the heck? So it was like, I think it was like 1 or 2 posts, and it was just like, we removed your content, and then there's a little button on the bottom that says CY. It gives you a bunch of legal stuff, like trademark stuff or whatever. I wasn't sure if I could appeal it or not, so at first I didn't think I could appeal it, but then it kept happening again. So after I just clicked, like, I X'd out of that, then on my phone, it was kind of back to normal, and I could continue doing things on Instagram, but obviously that post was just totally removed. So I was like, well, that's weird. Then the next day I woke up and there was another post that had been removed. It was another Louis Vuitton post, and it was kind of the same thing, but on my phone, yeah, I couldn't do anything. And then when I went on the computer, I had to like kind of X out and acknowledge it. And then I clicked through and there was like a CY and you could appeal it. So I tried to appeal it. So I wrote, you know, hey, I don't believe I'm in violation. This is my own photo, and this is just, you know, like a personal account. I did not get like an answer or a resolution on how that appeal went. So this pattern continued for like 3 to 4 days. Also, I did not only just have an LV post removed, I did have a post with a vintage Gucci bag. In fact, I'll get the bag right now. So I had posted a photo of this bag, which is a really cool like 80s vintage Gucci bag. And I had that removed, and I was like, okay, so maybe it's Gucci too. But then I realized last night that the photo also had some Louis Vuitton items in it. And I believe I had used like the Louis Vuitton and Gucci hashtags, Gucci vintage, you know, that kind of thing. Hashtag LV, like whatever the wallet was. So there were both Gucci and LV items in it. So I'm not sure if Gucci is another brand that is also doing this. From what I can tell, LV is definitely going pretty hardcore on trying to force Instagram to crack down on a lot of this content. So after that, I was like a little bit worried, and I got, at first, like I didn't get any like kind of scary messages from Instagram, but then on like I think the 4th or 5th removal, I got a notice that was new, and it was like terms of service. I'll pop it up now. We don't allow people to share content that infringes someone else's trademark rights, and it says examples of things we don't allow: using a trademark without the owner's permission in a way that could cause confusion with your affiliation with them, selling or promoting counterfeit goods, sharing a link to content that sells or promotes counterfeit goods. And then it says you can still infringe someone else's trademark rights even if you give credit to the owner or disclaim you don't intend to infringe trademark rights. So I know a lot of us have been using that like disclaimer, like these items are authentic, this is my personal collection, I don't sell anything, and the trademark remains with the brand. I don't think this is really helping any of us, so I'm actually not going to keep doing it. I was putting those on my posts, and a lot of creators have them in their bio, but just judging by what Instagram popped up on my screen, it seems like they really don't care about that. So from what I can tell, I don't think it's really helpful for you as a creator if you're putting that disclaimer on all of your posts and in your bio. It doesn't seem to be doing much. Instagram doesn't really seem to care. The brands don't seem to care. So after that, I was like, I don't really want to lose my account. I know it's like tiny. I only have like 500 followers, so I have a very small account. This is a personal account. This is for fun. I have not really made any money on Instagram. I think the only time I did was when Instagram had that Reels bonus program for a while. On my other account, I think I made like $30 a month for like a few months. But for me, Instagram has not been like a mainstay. I have not found it super helpful for me for monetization. I kind of just do it, like I have a presence on all platforms, but I just haven't found Instagram to be, you know, that great overall. So Instagram overall, it has not been a priority for me as a creator. My main platform is YouTube. It was kind of a bummer to have these problems because I was like, this is just an account I do for fun. So after that, I decided I was going to just to prevent my account from getting suspended or shut down. I decided to just wipe out. I went through and I literally, like my feed looks much different now. It's just all like, and I'll say I have not had any issues with any other brands, I think besides Louis Vuitton. I might do an experiment and try to post just a Gucci item and see if I run into issues with that. But now that I think about it, the Gucci item I did get removed, the purse with like the other stuff in it, had LV items in it as well and LV hashtags. So I'm thinking that may have been the issue and maybe not Gucci. Although I've talked to another creator and she said she's had her Marc Jacobs post removed. Well, I'm like, Marc Jacobs, really? Really? I went through and this was really hard because I've spent a lot of time and effort. There was a lot of like work that went into creating the content. I wiped out all of the Louis Vuitton and Gucci related posts. So previously, again, when you went through the Sunshine Fashion Love account, it was like mostly Louis Vuitton monogram canvas, a little bit of Gucci, and that was like, and I do have a lot of other items as well. I've done Dress Up Your Purse, Strathberry, Kate Spade, Coach, Dyson, Starbucks, North Face. I haven't had any issues with other brands except for what I believe is Louis Vuitton. Obviously, my Instagram feed looks much different, and I did try to post an experiment yesterday, so I posted this photo just to see what would happen. This one right now is up, and I'll kind of explain what I think might be happening for all of this trademark stuff. So here's the thing. Trademark and copyright are very different things. Now, copyright would be like if you were just taking Louis Vuitton photos off their website, and just posting them on an account. That would be straight up copyright infringement because you're using Louis Vuitton's actual product photos, which some accounts do. All of these photos on my account were photos I took myself of items I own. So there was really no copyright issues there, but copyright and trademark are different. Now, Louis Vuitton owns a trademark on their name, Louis Vuitton, in certain categories. So when you apply I actually tried to get my other brand trademark and it was rejected because it was like too generic. So Louis Vuitton does have a trademark on the Louis Vuitton name in many different categories and the Louis Vuitton logo, which is on a lot of their products. A lot of corporate brands do go to pretty great lengths to protect their trademarks. And here is why. I know it seems sometimes like these corporations are like bullying small businesses or individuals. Here's the hard, cold truth. In order to keep their trademark active, they have to actively enforce it. Louis Vuitton did recently lose a trademark lawsuit. So here's what happened. This couple, I think they're in like the UK or something, they started a business selling like plant stands. Like this is for gardening and gardens. Really has nothing to do with Louis Vuitton's business of like fashion and handbags and stuff. And they called the company LV Bespoke. LV was their initial, like their first initials. It did not have anything to do with Louis Vuitton. The products, obviously that has nothing to do with LV's core business, but Louis Vuitton sued this couple, and this couple had to spend a lot of money in legal fees and legal representation and a lot of time. It was very stressful, and they did win the lawsuit. And I can see why, because while Louis Vuitton has the LV logo trademarked, Louis Vuitton does not across the board own just the letters LV. Like that could be anything. It could be Las Vegas. It could be somebody's initials. So they really can't stop people from doing that. And I can see why they won. But here's the thing. I think a lot of times these big corporations are just counting on folks not having the resources to fight back, even if the little guy could win. So in this case, they did because they actually spent all this money on legal representation. But I think companies like Louis Vuitton are counting on people not being able to do that and then them just kind of winning by default and being able to bully a lot of smaller, people without money, without these resources, well, like a corporate team of attorneys. That's kind of the difference between copyright and trademark. So here's where I think things get kind of interesting. From everything that's happened to me and from what I've seen happening to other people, this week seems to have been like a purge week. I've heard from so many other Instagram creators that they've had posts removed. I've seen accounts get suspended, including some fairly large businesses in the luxury space. I've got a few theories. I believe companies like Louis Vuitton do not like creators building a social media account based on their intellectual property, meaning like their products, which seems kind of backwards. So here's the thing. I'm going to show you, this is an item I own. This is the pochette accessoire. I bought this item. This is an authentic item. It's obviously, not a fake. It's real. I bought this legitimately. I own it. Louis Vuitton's trademark is all over the product because it's the monogram canvas. So if I take a photo with this bag, their trademark is going to be in all of my photos. So that's what I believe is happening with LV. They do not like these accounts where you go down the feed and it's all the monogram canvas, maybe Gucci. I'm kind of wondering if Gucci is one of the, LV definitely, like they do not like this. Here's where I'm going to tell you where I think the brand is coming from. Now, I do not agree with this at all. I think what they're trying to do is a gross overreach of what trademark laws are intended to do. Trademark laws are intended to protect companies like Louis Vuitton from having another person or another business use their intellectual property or IP. I'll be referring to this as IP just because it's easier, to promote their own business, to sell items. And I think they see a lot of these social media accounts as being used for commercial purposes, even though they're like small content creators. I think LV is looking at this. They do not want people to just have a feed full of their products. Again, even if these products were obtained legitimately, that's the tactic I think they're using to pressure Instagram, which is owned by Meta, same company that owns Facebook, into removing this type of content or getting rid of accounts. They definitely do not want people using their IP to build up a personal brand. Now, there's people like me who are doing this account for fun and just posting pictures, because we like them and we like to share them. And that's the thing, luxury content on social media is very popular. I think they're coming at this from this direction. Would people be as interested in your social media account if you did not have all of the LV products? So they may be able to claim that their IP is what's drawing people to find these accounts, to follow these accounts, and to help individual content creators build up their socials. Now, there are businesses. I don't think, obviously, LV really does not like reselling businesses. They do not like businesses that make products for LV items, like the additional straps, the conversion kits, the encasements, like with the toiletry pouch 26, anything that bag charms, anything like that. And that's a bit different than people who are just making fakes or there are people that make like LV items that aren't authorized by the company. That's obviously a very blatant trademark violation. But from a lot of these companies, they're really, legally, they may be a little bit dicey, but they're not really doing anything wrong. The first sale doctrine allows people to resell designer items as long as it's the actual item the company sells. Now, the companies that say that was it the Amer Luxury, they make straps and stuff for designer items. They make encasements for the toiletry pouch 26. Those companies legally, you can tell they're being kind of careful. Now, inherently, the business may be totally fine legally, but I think where those types of businesses run into problems is when they're using the actual branded items in their product photos on social media. I think Louis Vuitton has a better legal argument for trademark violation against those companies that are using their products, that are using the LV products to sell their own products that go with LV items. I think they have a much stronger legal case against those companies. If I was a reseller and if I was a company that sold products that complement designer items, I would be talking to a lawyer. I would be talking to an attorney who specializes in intellectual property to ask what you can do to legally be within the law. And, because a lot of those accounts have had problems with removals, with getting posts taken down. And that, I think, is a little bit more of a cut and dry issue, where even though the business itself is legitimate, you've seen on some of those websites, when you go to them, they blur, they'll have a toiletry pouch 26 in the encasement, and they purposely blur out the LV logo, or they use a generic item that's not quite LV, because that actually does violate their trademark if you are using Louis Vuitton's trademark to promote your own stuff. But here's where I have an issue with what they're doing with independent content creators. Again, I think this is a gross overreach of what trademark laws are intended for, because most of us on Instagram who are just in the handbag community, we're really just posting for fun. Most of us are not selling anything. A lot of the people I follow and I've talked to, they're not even interested in monetizing their account or anything. They're literally just there to be part of the handbag community, to share their purchases. They're excited and they're just fans of the brand. And I think it's really bad optics for Louis Vuitton to go after these content creators who have spent thousands and thousands of dollars to buy their products, love the products, they're very enthusiastic about the brand, and they're essentially giving Louis Vuitton just free promotion. And that's where I have a problem with what companies like LV are doing, is because I think that's just a gross overreach, and it's just way over the top. And I think it's very bad optics for the company to do this to, especially small Instagram account. Again, I had 500 followers. I'm not the big time, but just to play devil's advocate, I do think Louis Vuitton could look at it from this angle and say, hey, even though this account might not be big now and they're not monetizing, if they grow in popularity from constantly posting designer items like ours with the LV canvas, if the account grows to 50,000 followers, 100,000 followers, 1 million, a lot of content creators do end up monetizing down the road. Like, if you had 100,000 followers on your Instagram account, it would be very tempting to start doing sponsorships or start selling your own products. Again, I think companies like Dress Up Your Purse did that. I kind of was looking at the Dress Up Your Purse Instagram, and they used to feature a lot more branded items, and they've gotten away from that, which I think is smart because I can see LV going after companies like that clearly sell a lot of like dupes for LV products or stuff that goes with certain LV items. Again, we got the bag inserts, we got all kinds of things that are meant, dust bags, the bag pillows, all kinds of products. And a lot of these companies make them specifically for certain designer items. So that's where I think the line is kind of gray, is at what point do you go from like personal use to commercial use or commercial purposes? I think Instagram and Louis Vuitton are just going kind of way over the line in trying to just get rid of just these small accounts who are just posting LV items they like and they own just for fun. So I do also want to talk about something. If you don't know, there's something called a Section 230. This is legislation that was passed in 1996. Yeah, like almost 30 years ago. And this basically grants platforms like Instagram, all the big tech companies, some liability protection, like immunity, for what content is posted on the platform. Basically, the government didn't want all of these companies, this was back in the early stages of the internet, to get like a barrage of lawsuits due to what was posted on the platform. So they basically say, if you moderate content, they're seen as a platform and not a publisher. And that's kind of a difference. Like the New York Times is a publisher, Instagram is a platform. So the government legislation basically stated that Instagram is kind of not responsible for what's posted on the platform, as long as they do some due diligence in removing things like illegal content. And that's what I think is happening. I think Louis Vuitton approached Instagram or Meta. Also, it could be a third-party firm. A lot of times, and this happens on YouTube, where a company will hire some third-party firm that specializes in this type of thing to enforce their copyright and to enforce their trademark. So it may also be like just some outside firm that's doing the dirty work for Louis Vuitton and asking Meta to remove all of this type of content. I don't exactly know what's going on behind the scenes, but obviously something's going on, because a lot of people in the past week or so have been hit pretty hard due to their what seems to be mostly Louis Vuitton content. Now, again, I haven't had issues with most of these other brands, and I'm still not sure about Gucci because, again, my Gucci picture had LV items in it, so I don't know. I will also link some resources down below in the description box if you want to learn more about this. And also, I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice. I'm just sharing what I know, what I've observed, and what I think might be going on just from my perspective. Obviously, something's going on because a lot of us got hit in the past week. Now, how are they detecting the content? There's a few different ways. I know I've seen people say, like, don't mention the brand at all, don't tag them, don't use any sort of designer hashtags. And I do think that might help a little bit, but I will say, don't assume that if you're not doing those things that you're safe. I'm going to show you an example. There are all kinds of AI detection tools available, and they're getting more and more advanced all the time. There's one called Google Cloud Vision, and I'll show you an example here. I took this photo of my Louis Vuitton Noe BB in monogram canvas, and I uploaded the photo to Google Cloud Vision, and instantly it detected that it was a Louis Vuitton item. So I would tell you this, don't just think you can keep skirting by if you just don't use hashtags and you don't mention the brand, because the technology already exists to be able to tell all of these companies what exactly is in the content. It can do photos, it can do videos. So don't assume that you're totally fine just because you stopped using hashtags and you don't mention the brand, because like as you can see in this photo, instantly it can detect the Louis Vuitton logo. Now, there's very clear trademark violations, and then there's a lot of gray area. And that's where I'm kind of wondering, like, how far Louis Vuitton can really take this trademark protection. Now, if I were to just start slapping Louis Vuitton on t-shirts and selling them, obviously that would be a pretty open and shut case, and I would lose because, you know, I'm definitely violating the Louis Vuitton trademark by selling t-shirts with they've got that trademark. again, the reason this couple won the lawsuit with the gardening plant stands is because that has nothing to do with what Louis Vuitton does. If we're being honest here, there's very little chance that the average person is going to confuse some business called LV Bespoke that sells plant stands with the Louis Vuitton brand. But I can certainly see why accounts, especially the accounts that have like LV in them, or like I know another account was just shut down and her handle used to be Louis Vuitton Princess. I can certainly see how those accounts might be more risky because you're using the LV name and you're showing the LV products, that Louis Vuitton could make a stronger argument that you are creating some affiliation confusion. Because again, if I go to an account and it's like, love my LV and it's all Louis Vuitton products, I would say those accounts are probably much higher risk for being shut down or having the content removed, because you got LV in the handle and then all of your photos in the feed are Louis Vuitton products. That's what I'm thinking is like the riskier content here. So here's what I'm planning to do. After I removed all of the LV and Gucci content, now my handle is Sunshine Fashion Love, so it has nothing to do with Louis Vuitton. I'm thinking the safer approach here is to, again, I think if people look at your account and they're like, they just think Louis Vuitton or they think Gucci or Chanel, that's where I think you may want to rethink your content strategy. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. You can do what you want. So here's the thing. I'm going to be posting a lot of different types of content. So, food, places, other stuff. I just posted a picture of my bunny just to see what the heck would happen. And I will say this, after I wiped all of the Louis Vuitton and Gucci content, it's been about 3 days and I have not had any more removals. So it's very clear that it was definitely the Louis Vuitton posts in particular that got my account on their radar. And it's like once I was on their radar, like the removals kept on happening. So if this happens to you and you're like, why does my content keep getting removed? This might be really tough, especially if your whole feed is like LV content or Chanel content or Gucci content. But if you do want to keep your account, you may want to just like wipe it, unless you want to start over or do a backup account or anything or something like that. So I wiped all the content. Also, I did try, I was like, maybe I'll try to join Meta Verified so that I can, maybe that'll help. Because I did talk to a reseller and she now is using a backup account, and she said, once I had to like upload my driver's license and stuff, I haven't had any issues. And that's the thing, there are tons of accounts that seem to be skating by. Their counterfeits or their resellers, and some of them haven't had any issues. But I think in this situation, I wouldn't look at what other people are doing and assume that it's fine if they do it, that you do it, because I think this is more like getting pulled over on the highway for speeding. A lot of people do it. Only some people get pulled over and get ticketed. I think it's something like that, where the enforcement is just very inconsistent and they're just kind of targeting people at random, or maybe the brand is reporting them. Or again, the AI detection could just be finding this type of content. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. So I have the account wiped. I wiped it of all the LV and the Gucci stuff. I actually tried to sign up for Meta Verified just to see if I could talk to a real person. But because I had logged into my computer after I was not able to access Instagram on my phone, I couldn't set up two-factor authentication. My account is currently kind of restricted, so it's sort of like on house arrest. So it's not letting me set up two-factor authentication. And because I don't have 2FA, I actually can't sign up for Meta Verified. So I'm going to attempt to sign up for Meta Verified just so I maybe can talk to somebody. I don't know if that would help at all, but I thought, I just want to know like I want to know what the rules are so I can play within the rules. So I'm going to be doing that. I also posted as an experiment, I posted a picture of like kind of my backdrop with like my Agenda MM. But here's the thing. So I think the accounts that are less risky or more quote unquote safe are ones that are more lifestyle-y, where it's very clear the brand is about a person and not like Louis Vuitton, where they post a variety of different types of photos. And when they do post like an LV item, it's just one element in like a bigger picture. So that's what I'm going to try to experiment with. Not every post is going to be like a designer item, which again, kind of stinks for a lot of us creators because we use the hashtags to like find certain items. And then we also, like it's harder to get discoverability if you're not using hashtags, like hashtag Louis Vuitton or hashtag LVOE, hashtag toiletry pouch 26. So if you can't use the hashtags, discoverability is like kind of harder. I'm not sure. I might try hashtags like bag of the day or outfit of the day or like planners or whatever. So I posted a photo of just my backdrop and I did have the Agenda MM in the shot, but like you can see it's It's not the main focus of the photo. I did not mention the brand at all. In fact, the brand was more about the IKEA SCOTUS pegboard system. I put this up yesterday and so far it's up. So I'm thinking that might help. So if you're posting like a wide shot of yourself wearing a cute outfit and the bag is just one small part of the photo and you don't mention or hashtag the brand at all, I'm thinking that may be a safer approach to the content. My feed is no longer going to be just LV monogram canvas. It's going to be a lot of other types of stuff with maybe an occasional item mixed in, like kind of in the background or like, but again, not the main focus of that piece of content. That's what I really think Louis Vuitton has a problem with, but they seem to be okay with some of the bigger, especially the bigger influencers who post a lot of different types of content, and bags are occasionally in the mix, but not the main focus of that account. We also don't know, for all we know, maybe there's certain influencers they like and kind of have whitelisted. Maybe there's certain influencers they don't like, but it's pretty obvious that Louis Vuitton in particular does not seem to like accounts where it's just photo after photo of product, like what looks like a product photo or just the item itself. They definitely don't like a lot of the resellers, and they don't like businesses that are using the LV items to sell their own items, like the bag encasements or bag inserts, that type of thing. So that's what I think is probably the more risky type of content, and the safer content is more like, you know, kind of lifestyle-esque. For instance, I follow, you know, a lot of us follow Amber Ashley. She has a great YouTube channel and she has a really nice Instagram. I would actually use Amber's account. Shout out to Amber because she posts really cool stuff. But if you notice, not all of her content is designer, and when she does post the item, a lot of the time it's part of an outfit of the day and it's just one element of the photo. But when you look at this account, you don't just think Louis Vuitton or Chanel, you think Amber. So that's what I think is probably the safer way to go if you're, you know, doing Instagram. And it kind of stinks because a lot of us just like to post the bag photos for fun. It looks like we may no longer be able to do that in the way we used to. You know, I'll say this as someone who's been a content creator for a long time. Sometimes you do have to roll with changes that you don't like on the platforms. A lot of the YouTubers have been through this quite a few times, and we've had to adapt our content strategy based on the rules of the road. So I would say if you don't like it, I know it sucks and it doesn't seem fair, and I really do not agree with what these brands are doing, but this might be necessary right now if you do want to keep your account. You know, the YouTube rules have changed drastically over the years and we've had to roll with them. I also think that all of this detection tool software stuff is going to get more and more advanced. So that's why I say just not using hashtags or mentioning the brand, that might not keep you safe, because again, these tools are just getting better and better. And I also would not be surprised if Louis Vuitton starts going after content on other platforms. So if you think this is going to stop with Instagram, I don't think so. They may be coming for TikTok. They may be coming for Facebook, YouTube, who knows? But I would not be at all surprised if Louis Vuitton starts trying to pressure YouTube in particular, because again, a lot of people have like very YouTube-centric channels. They do only Louis Vuitton videos. Some of them have LV in the name of the channel. I'm guessing Louis Vuitton really does not like that, and they don't want that type of content out there. What I do find ridiculous, though, is that Louis Vuitton makes it kind of hard to do like quiet luxury. The branding is freaking all over the product, and they want to stop customers from taking pictures of their products and posting them online to share. Like, that's the wild thing, is that a lot of this content has been helpful to many of us if we're researching a bag or we want to see what a certain item looks like up close, see what it fits. So that's the thing where I think it's very bad optics for Louis Vuitton, because a lot of this content helps people. The fact that they're trying to really stop and control their brand image so tightly and what content exists about the brand, I think is really ridiculous. Now, how do we stop this? Like, how do we, maybe do something about it? That's why I decided to make this video, because I really think the only thing that might get brands like Louis Vuitton to back off is if a lot of us make a lot of noise and if this starts getting some notable press attention. If that does not happen, I don't really see an end to these types of issues on Instagram and on other social media platforms, including YouTube and TikTok. So, in fact, I've heard a lot of people having issues with TikTok and YouTube. Again, I think it's the best platform creators, but they've certainly had some issues. And from my experience as a YouTuber, it's hard to get in touch with a real person at any of these platforms. A lot of channels have been deleted, removed without any reason, and the channel owner has like no recourse. So that's the thing. None of these platforms are safe or reliable. If you're a content creator that's like kind of serious about this, you want to be an influencer, I would tell you this: don't put all your eggs in one basket. Really diversify, get an email list, have your own website, because you could be shut down on any of these platforms for no reason, and there's not much you can do about it. I know a lot of reselling businesses are pretty much only on Instagram, and that's how they make most of their sales. I'm gonna ask you, if that's you, what happens if your Instagram is shut down? I know a lot of resellers have already gone through that, but it's hard to build up a new account. It's hard to grow that account from scratch again. And if you lose your only marketing avenue, you're screwed. So I would encourage people to branch out and try other platforms. Again, have your own website, have your own email list, because you never know what's going to happen. And that's the thing. You're kind of just renting space on all of these platforms. They have no like responsibility or loyalty to you. That's my take on all of this going on Instagram, but I know these are just theories, but that's what I think. I don't think Louis Vuitton likes accounts where they post mostly just their products. That's what I'm going to be doing moving forward, is really changing that up and posting a lot of different types of stuff, and also really minimizing all of the luxury items and making it more of like a lifestyle type account. I think that's probably going to be safer. So if you have any other suggestions, or if you're going through this as well, I'd love to hear from you. Let me know down in the comments what's been going on with your Instagram, if it's been kind of screwy lately. Have you had some success? And if you've had your account like suspended and then you got it reinstated, like what the heck do you do? And do you think Meta Verified helps? I really don't know. If you have any other theories as well, I'd love to hear them. This is obviously a lot of speculation, but I just wanted to share what I think may be going on. Again, I'm not 100% either, but there's a lot of craziness going on Instagram recently, and I just wanted to talk about this. Anyways, I'm Jen. If you found this video helpful, I'd greatly appreciate you leaving a thumbs up on the way out, and subscribe to Sunshine Fashion Love, where I try to post handbag videos and just fun stuff that I'm into at the moment. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys later and see you again in the next video.